Hello there, we are back at Rebak Island in the marina, hauled out, second time in 2 months. Not exactly what we wanted, but we had a little leak and it turns out it was a good job we did because we have removed the sail drives completely and there was another leak internally in the sail drive which we didn't know about. We have no replacement seal for this new finding. To get one sent here from Malaysia is going to take longer than it is for Rob to get home. So Rob's sourcing it in New Zealand, and we also had a problem with the oil seal in the sail drive. Took off the propeller parts. Oil coming out was a cloudy old colour, so the oil seal is being changed too.
Take this apart. Here we go. So we got main bearing, and there we got the inner oil seal and the outer seawater seal. We have to press through that way, pick them up this way so we can change them. There is the new seals and the new O-rings. Contact body seal, so he will be then turned this way.
The oil seal
Facing up. Pressing down like that. Okay, now we take one spacer. This one has to go in this way. Down like that. We pull it out like that, right? And then you see the two grooves, small grooves here, because those obviously is the trace of where the seal been riding. So it's very important. So this part I already cleaned. I just did like this a little bit. I have to inspect that it's not too deep. For now, I think this is quite far gone. It's been changed before because you're gonna have two grooves there, and one seal have been moved 2 millimeters further in than the other one. Okay. You should be okay, yeah. Okay, we just put the back in. Using the oil O-rings. Take it out like that. Next one. So one there. Here we go.
Andy has been repairing the damage done by the ingress of salt water through the faulty diaphragm and showed me how everything fits back together with the new diaphragm.
Okay, so we just put the upper seal on. This upper seal has a track here that needs to sit. It needs to sit in the female track here. So we'll put this one on. The open section faces to the bottom of the seal drive. And we just slowly feed that in. And then double check that everything has been put in. What I like to do here, this is the upper seal. It's one of the last things to actually be clamped in, but I like to put it one of the first things to go on for me. So I like to keep this on. I like to put it here, but just keep it loose. Because once this goes on with the actual diaphragm base, you'll never get that clamp on. So that I like to put that in first. Then we can bring the smaller one. This one's one of the first ones to get clamped. So this one can go on. And it also has a track that it needs to sit into. That's why it's very important that the male sits into the female one perfectly. Because if you clamp it down, it can jump out of its seat.
Okay.
It can jump out of its seat. Just bend this little tab over it, and you'll feel the clamp get tighter. So you put a bit of tension on it, and then just run your hand around it, and make sure that we're sitting properly in the track. Which we are. This was the one that was completely perished on the other one. This one was completely gone, and that is the main one. That's the one that's very, very important. And once you bend those over, maybe 50%, then you can come in and just seal them completely up. Those little tabs have to be completely flattened over this. This is what holds the tension on.
Okay.
And then once you've bent your tabs over, then you just run your eye over it one more time. Make sure that it hasn't jumped out of its seat. Okay, now you're completely level the whole way around, and we're fully compressed on the rubber, and we're inside the track. So I'm happy with this. Then what I like to do is come and put your engine mount on. We're replacing these engine mounts. So it's a brand new engine mount. It can only go on one way. You have this tab. This tab lines up with here, a little guide pin.
Okay. Were they corroded or just was it good?
No. It was just time. It was just
Yeah.
time to replace them. I mean, it's such a big job to replace them. You might as well do it
well
while it's out. And this one doesn't need to be fully tightened just yet, so we can leave it loose so it doesn't roll around. This one as well has already been pre-cleaned. So what I'm doing now is I'm just getting that lip just over, make sure this one falls into its track. Because once we put the diaphragm on and we start to clamp this up, you don't want to nip this one. This one can get caught on the inside, and that's what we don't want. And this one is directional. So you have your two lips here. Those lips have to be facing out. Those lips are what makes contact with your engine bed, and this is the one that actually seals up when you clamp it down. Sometimes you find on older boats, if it's been on for a long time, once you actually release the sail drive, you actually see the lip marks on the fiberglass engine bed.
Oh, really?
It actually makes a divot that it's been there that long, so it's very important that those are there and are facing the outside. Just loose with your hands. So now the tricky part. So I have to line up these splines, these male splines, with that insert there. It can be a little bit fiddly, but you just can rotate it. Obviously your sail drive shaft and output has to be facing the rear of the sail drive. Need to be careful with this O-ring here, that this O-ring doesn't come out of its track when you're actually mounting it in. If it's coming out on the track, you can nip it, and that will actually allow seawater to come past. That seal is very important, so it has to make sure that it's there and it's flush.
And have you changed that?
Yes, we put and put a little bit of just a little bit of sealant, not sealant, a little bit of lubricant here for this.
Thanks for watching. Tune in next week when we will be refitting the sail drives to the boat.